Welcome to the Kindness Project, the podcast designed to share stories of kindness and share how kindness can make positive change in our world, one small act at a time.
On today's episode of the Kindness Project, we talk about mugs, circus acts, and we have part 3 of our interview with George Kinder from the Kinder Institute.
Welcome to the podcast. I'm joined by a man that
What was that?
I'm joined by a man that likes to pour coffee all over himself. And a girl that just found out she's joining the Blitz tonight.
You're joining a blitz?
We're cleaning.
Oh, right, you're going for a blitz. Sorry, and that was a man who likes a little bit of...
Who's found the joy in singing on this podcast?
who loves a bit of an impromptu singing. I think just to make me spill my hot drink, it's Russell Dames joining us live and in person unusually.
Hiya.
How you doing, Russ?
I'm not too bad, thank you. I've had a very good week.
Tell me about your week.
So we jointly ran an expo yesterday.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
A lot of people turned up.
Yeah. Good event.
I was extremely nervous, but it turned out well.
We had the politician turn up. We had the politician. I'm talking about like there's only one politician in the world. It wasn't Boris, by the way. He's too busy at parties.
Let's not get too political.
We're not getting. We never get political on the Kindness Project. But come on, Boris, you can't turn up at a party and get away with it. What? I'm not getting political. And yeah, it was a good day, wasn't it?
It was.
Loads of our favourite business people turned up in our part of the world, which is just on the East London Essex borders, a little place called Havering, and it was a really, really lovely event. So that's been a particular highlight. I've had a few highlights. I've been sort of in the office and doing stuff. Don't move the cupcake, please. Can you please put the cupcake back? Thank you.
I've just been handed a mug and I know exactly where that's going.
Upstairs.
Straight in my uni box.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I've got a security one. And now I'm going to have a Savello one.
And this isn't an unofficial question of the podcast, but this isn't an official question of the podcast, but an unofficial question of the podcast is when you go away to uni, what are you going to definitely take in your case?
My collection of business branded mugs.
Sorry, you got a collection? What?
I've got 4.
You got 4. Who you got?
So I've got.
Is it like Pokemon? You got to catch them all.
No, because I've got
Business mugs, you gotta catch them all. That's my singing. Done.
The security company ones.
118.
I've got 2 of those.
They're not even sponsoring us. Why are we mentioning all these
I've
firms?
got 2 of those. I've got another one, and it's got some circles on the front.
Who's that from?
Don't remember.
East London Business Place. She's there. Other sponsorships are available. Argos Accounting. Other sponsorships are. Nobody pays us any money to sponsor, and we're mentioning all these businesses.
And I've also got
Russ.
1 Savello mug.
We should put this.
Savello.
We should put this in as part of the subscription.
You know what? Getting mentioned on the Kindness Project might be a good little number. But no, none of those businesses sponsor us. We haven't got any sponsors, unfortunately, on the Kindness Project.
I really appreciate
but we do appreciate the merch. I'm currently drinking tea out of a mug with 2 bears on that just says Daddy Bear. It's one of my favourites, but not as favourite, not as impressive as the mug that I got from Grayson Perry's Art Club exhibition that's just got a picture of Chris Whitty on, going, Chris Whitty is watching you. I love that one. What's your favourite mug, Russ?
I don't use mugs. I use travel cups.
Travel cups? What's your favourite travel cup?
Probably my Costa one.
What? Russ! Why are you mentioning Costa? They don't sponsor us, Russ.
Right.
Why is the Costa one so good?
We can mention everybody else but Costa.
I'm a SME business champion. Costa's big. Why is the Costa one so good?
I just like it.
Right. Is it a particular field? Do you like Costa coffee?
No. Yeah.
Insult Costa. Go on. What Costa coffee do you like in particular?
Do not shop in Costa.
What Costa coffee do you like in particular?
I like the like the coolers I do.
Oh, yes,
Like the
Russ.
strawberry cooler.
You know
Strawberry and cream.
Oh yeah, strawberry and cream Costa Cola. You're
They're
gonna.
salted caramel.
So just quick question: who's sending the email to Costa about sponsoring the podcast? Is it you, Russ?
Yeah, well, I send every other email.
That's
so-
true. That's true. Well, ladies and gents, thank you again for joining us on the podcast. What we'd love to know, unofficial question of the podcast, and one will probably, as we run out of podcast questions quite quickly at the minute, want to ask as an official question of the podcast. What's your favourite mug? And what is on your favourite mug? We're going to ask that as a visual question.
I've got 2 mugs that were bought for me for my birthday that are very good.
Go on,
That
tell
are
us.
part of my business mugs collection. Trying to find a name for my business mugs collection.
Bismarck.
My Bismugs.
Bismugs.
That just one of them is one of those. You add the water and it changes colour, and I accidentally put it in the dishwasher. I'm so sad.
Why doesn't it work anymore?
It does, but like the colour change bit is peeling, and it just says nobody knows, and it's all black, and then you put hot water in it, and all of a sudden it's a rainbow, and it just says nobody knows I'm gay.
Love it. Love it.
And then I've got another one that just says I'm the rainbow sheep of my family, and it's got a little rainbow sheep on it.
Yeah. So gay related both, but yeah, all good.
They
with,
were gifts.
all
I
good
like
with that?
gifts.
Oh, I like gifts. You like a freebie.
I like a freebie, and
yeah.
I like a gift.
Yeah. So if you'd like your branded mug featured on the Kindness Project, just
And I will take
just
it to
find
university with me.
find Charlotte on Twitter, Charlotte J Dames. Just offer to send her a mug, and literally you're getting virtually free sponsorship on quite a prominent podcast. I don't know how that happened.
And it will turn up in a uni cupboard somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. If you'd like your mug featured on a podcast and then in a cupboard, please feel free to get in touch. The official question of the podcast is: if you were a circus act, what would you be? Russ, what be thinking about that question, mate?
Lion tamer. Bearded lady.
Would you?
That's my job, Russ. You can't.
Right, lion tamer. What would you sing to the lions to tame them? Here we go. Here we go.
In the jungle.
Sorry, can you do it?
Oh, sugar.
Let me just hold my tea so I can spin it. Go on.
In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight.
No, you know what we need to do? You know what? Charlotte's lost it again because Russ was singing. This is what we need to do. This is what we need to do, right? Right, are you ready? We're going to give it one more try, Russ, and see how you get on.
Some more twice.
A weird boy, a weird boy, a weird boy, a weird boy, a weird boy,
The mighty jungle.
Right, look. Lion Tamer, a weird boy. Lion Tamer is Russ's one. What's yours?
Out. I would either be the bearded lady.
What's your bearded lady song?
I just stand there with a beard on.
Just what? You got Lion Tamer giving you a full rendition of In the Jungle. The Lion Sleeps Tonight.
Right.
Yeah, go on, give me your bearded lady song.
I've got beards, innit?
See, some people, Russ, turn up and make an effort for this
That could be
podcast.
Gwen, couldn't it?
Huh?
I got a beard.
In it. Right.
DJ bearded lady.
DJ bearded lady. This has gone wrong again. This is going all over the show. DJ bearded lady. What do you guys reckon I should be?
A clown.
I'll be your clown. As on this podcast. Anyway, let's end that. It's not as funny as a weird boy, a weird boy. And we are moving. Oh no, can you let everybody know where they can get in touch with us on the socials?
Righto, so if you're looking for us on Twitter, it's at Ola Kindness. If you're looking for us on Facebook, search the Kindness Project into the search bar. If you want to find us on Google, search the Kindness Project podcast. But if you want to go directly to the website, it's www.thekindnessproject.co.uk. If you want to email us, it's ola@thekindnessproject.co.uk. Do we have any more socials?
No. That's it. So feel free to get in touch, and we would love to share your answers to the question of the podcast. And on that note, we have got now we've got two singers in the podcast presenter family. Who would like to do the Kindness News jingle?
I'll do it. Kindness News.
A weird boy, a weird boy, a weird boy, a weird boy, a weird boy. Right, I'm kind
I
of.
can just see Mum over there cracking up.
On Kindness News, a weird boy, a weird boy, a weird boy, a weird boy, a weird.
Here's the mighty news.
Perfect. I want to tell you a little story about a university who gives unexpected bonuses to all employees to say thanks for their service during COVID. The Chancellor of Vanderbilt University is recognising all the school's employees for their diligent work over the past 2 years with a surprise bonus in paychecks. All of the eligible staff, faculty and postdocs will receive a £1,500 bonus in their paychecks at the end of March. That's 9,000 workers, including part-timers, who are getting the bonus. It coincided with the university's 148-year anniversary, and the Chancellor, a guy called Daniel Diermeyer, expressed gratitude for the extraordinary efforts at those at the heart of the Vanderbilt's educational mission. You know what? Interestingly, I think, in my little world of financial planning, we had a incredibly lucky and fortunate and not, even though it was challenging in parts, actually quite a smooth pandemic. Every business had, and then whatever profession you were in had challenges. But you look at the work that both teachers and people in the medical profession did, the reality is that they actually had to really, really... Did you just take your glasses out of my case?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
She's trying it on for size.
Just trying to pinch my glasses case.
I put them in there as a practical joke. Now I'm getting a migraine.
I was trying to make a really serious point. So yes, more than 7,000 undergraduate students and 64,000 graduate students were enrolled in the Nashville, Tennessee University last fall, and the guy announced it as part of a YouTube thing. Well done to all those teachers. Amazing work in terms of getting that bonus and thoroughly deserving it. Next one is UK's most premature twins finally going home 5 months after being given 0% chance of survival. Charlotte?
You've almost drunk out of my mug there. The UK's most premature twins have finally headed home from the hospital 5 months after their birth, when they were given a 0% chance of survival. Harley and Harry Crane were conceived via IVF and were born at 22 weeks and 5 days. Babies born after only 5 months of development are not classed as legally viable, but the tough siblings clung to life and have amazed doctors. The 36-year-old mother, Jade, has spent the last 5 months at the side of her brave babies in the newborn intensive care unit at Queen's Medical Hospital in Nottingham. After trying to get pregnant naturally for 3 years, Jade suffered an ectopic pregnancy before the couple decided to start IVF in 2010. The miracle pair headed home to Derby this week with their proud mum and dad just 2.5 weeks after their original due date. They're doing absolutely amazing. They're doing all the things that we were told they wouldn't do. They're crying and they're surviving. Amazing. It's really emotional, said Father Steve, 52. 140 days ago, we didn't think we'd be here. They experienced 3 heartbreaking miscarriages on IVF too. Steve and I have been together 14 years, and 11 of those have been spent doing IVF. The few bits of clothes that I did buy made me think that I better keep the tags on just in case. You just don't want to let yourself believe. When she was checked into the hospital on October 26, 22 weeks pregnant, the doctor kept saying it was a miscarriage, but Jade said it couldn't be because she could feel the babies moving. A nurse explained after the birth why Jade couldn't hear the babies cry, because it was born far too early. But then I heard this little cry. Harry did the same when he was born an hour later. Their little cries sounded like a tiny kitten. The couple was told that the twins weren't going to survive. After they was born, I was Googling twins who survive at 22 weeks and trying to find any to give me hope. I found a set of twins in America who had survived. They're 4 now. I've connected with their mum on Instagram and she guided me through the first few days of being in the unit and what to ask for. The babies were born with lung and other problems, and diagnosed with serious gastrointestinal problems, which can be fatal, and Jade was told to prepare to say goodbye. Thankfully, the newborns have defied odds, and Harley finally joined her brother at home on Monday. They'll go down in medical history. I'm pretty sure they'll be having one of the wards named after them, because everyone is just amazed by them.
Oh, what a lovely, lovely story of, we and again, part of our remit on the Kindness News is sharing stories of optimism against the odds, and that is just one absolutely brilliant example of that. So thank you for sharing. We're ready for the interview. It's part 3 of George Kinder. George Kinder, if you haven't listened to the first two parts of the interview yet, I'd certainly recommend you check out episodes 220 and 221. George is quite an insightful chap, right, isn't he?
He is.
So listen to George. He talks about the work he does at the Kinder Institute, his philosophies for a higher level of civilization, and much, much more. Shall we listen to the remainder of the episode?
Let's do it.
In the present.
In the present moment. We have never experienced a moment of freedom in the past. So why do we spend so much time studying the past, looking toward the future? I mean, they're valuable. It's not that they're not valuable. But why don't we spend an enormous amount of time mastering the present moment, if that's where freedom lies, if that's where all of our experience is? And that's what mindfulness is. And you ask me what it does for me. I think I live many more moments. I think I'm alive, I'm fresher, I'm more awake in many more moments of my life. And I do it mostly, hugely in nature. So I have a meditative practice where I'm primarily following the breath, the sensations of the breath with my nostrils or at my belly. But I also spend a lot of time in nature, moment by moment, trying to really be here. And and then it makes me a better listener, frankly. That's why I teach it in my trainings for financial advisors. I listen better because I've listened better in here to who I am. Yeah.
You've listened to yourself. That's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And how important is that nature element? I mean, certainly it's interesting during lockdown, and I'd openly admit to not being a great meditator, but during lockdown, my meditation was going out for a run, and we the house is on the back of a county park, so we've got plenty of green space
Nice.
at the back of the house, and it felt very very peaceful to me to just go out for a run in green space. Because how important is being in nature for you and meditating in nature?
Huge. In the work we do in life planning, we come up with a vision of who we want to be. And by the way, is our internet connection okay? Mine's bouncing around just a bit.
Mine's a bit. I think our one's a bit patchy, and that's probably the reason why we're doing it. But I'll make sure that Ras in the edit fixes wherever we need to. Is that all right, Ras?
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool. All right.
Okay, great. So
I think the question we asked was we were talking about mindfulness and nature.
Right. So when we do our life plans, when I did mine, what happens is we come up with a vision that feels really extraordinary. And to me, when I came up with my vision, it never had my job in it. Most people have family in it very strongly. Yeah. And as I've matured and had kids, it's had it in it, but I didn't have kids until I was in my 50s. Yeah. So for a long time, it didn't even have family and children in it. The three things that were there were I wanted to live in the weather was my term. I wanted to live in the weather, and that's nature. And the second thing was that I wanted to live a deeply spiritual life. And the third thing was I wanted to create illuminated manuscripts. And that's what I'm doing right now with this mix of photography and poetry. So, but what I learned was that mindfulness looks at individual moments inside of us. It's watching sensations inside of us. Nature is the experience of sensations all around us, aromas, the wind, the movement of the body, all of these things, the temperature, the moisture in the air, all of these things. Chris, they're the same thing.
Yeah.
Whether you're following sensations in nature out there or you're following them in here, it's exactly the same thing. So living a profound life of mindfulness or a profound spiritual life is also living a life that is environmentally profound.
Sure. And you talk about the sort of map of mindfulness in the Golden Civilization. What is that map of mindfulness, and how does it connect to the civilization we should be looking to build?
Yeah, well, that's a very profound question, and something I'd recommend people look up either online or get the book Golden Civilization, because it's complex. But I will give you a short version of it that I hope will work. When I realized that. It's kind of obvious, right? Kids know it. The only moment that's ever really existed is the present moment. When I really woke up to that fact, I realized that all our maps of time and space are have this oval in them of, and the future is out in one direction and the past is in the other direction. And you've got spatial stuff going on there. And I thought, where's the present moment?
Yeah.
If the present moment is where we feel freedom, where we feel spacious, huge, rich in our lives, where is that? And it doesn't exist. It's ephemeral in these maps of time and space. So I thought, I'm going to make a map where the present moment is the center of everything and is the most important element of the whole map. And that's what I did with the map of mindfulness. And I made it like an hourglass. And civilization is the oval at the top of the hourglass. Mindfulness and of the present moment
is where you are. Yeah.
It's the point. It's the point right in the middle of that hourglass. And then down below is what develops. And this is what I think is most interesting for your kindness project, is that the more that you practice mindfulness, the more you're letting go of all of your self preoccupations. You're letting go of all of your stories of yourself. So you're cultivating selflessness. And what that means is that you're actually cultivating kindness.
But it's removal of ego, isn't it?
It's total removal of ego.
You said something really interesting where in your life plan, the job doesn't define you. And I think in Western society, we're often linked to that status and role, aren't we? When in reality, it means nothing, does it? It doesn't mean we're better people. It just means we do a certain job.
Yeah, I mean, you're sort of keen to sort of want to know what you want to do from like the age of 13, 14, because you've got to pick your choices and of your subjects, and then as you go on, that subject to influence what subjects you can do from there, and then the subjects you take from there influences what kind of job you can get. So by the age of 13, 14, 15, you've already got to have your mind made up.
It's really interesting.
Right, that's right.
We're having a tonight because Charlotte's got exams coming up, and there's a pressure that comes with that. And we had a conversation the other day where I said to Charlotte, your exams, the success, I want you to work hard and I want you to do as well as you can, but the success of those exams don't define you as a human being. And even if you do well and you try hard, right? If you fail, you get back up and try again, completely relaxed. But don't put, and to Charlotte, bless her, it feels like there's a lot on her shoulders in a minute. And I wanted to try and take that off just by saying, look, that the defining factors on you as a human aren't based on your exam results or the job you do. They're based on values and attributes and things like that. Yeah, and it's the challenge we've got is I think in a conventional traditional education system we don't teach those values enough, do we?
No, we don't, and we teach primarily thinking and analytic skills as opposed to experiential skills, wisdom, and emotional maturity, authenticity. We do not teach authenticity at university, and you can get it by reading and intellectually. All of them have elements of it floating in. But
I mean, I think part of the challenge is education designed to teach people for the industrial age, and we don't live in the industrial age anymore. I don't think education's adapted as quickly as it probably needs to, but hopefully we'll get there. So one of the other things you talk about in the Golden Civilization, George, is habits and the need to change our habits. What habits do you think we need to abandon, and what do we need to adopt?
I love the question, Chris. And as I mentioned earlier, I think about, I kind of organize in my mind right now, partly because I'm writing this book about it, that we are meant to live in 3 domains of freedom. We're meant to live in freedom, and as human beings, and there are different ways of thinking of that. I mean, you go to a culture that's very poor, and then think about earning more money and bringing more money into their culture and having more material freedom. And that's very relevant. That's very important as a stage of freedom in civilization. I think of it in 3 different ways. I think that the subtitle of my book, the title of my book is The 3 Domains of Freedom. The subtitles say it all. So the first domain is each moment is yours. And the second domain is your life is yours. And the third domain is civilization is yours. And so the question is, how do we rob ourselves of each of those experiences? So if we're not living each moment as it is ours, that's the domain really of mindfulness. The more that we practice mindfulness, the more we're coming back to individual moments and learning that, hey, we can actually experience more of them and let go of the stuff that blocks us. So that's letting go of the habits that take us away from being right here, right now, is one habit. The second habit that I would say is in regard to life planning. And there, it's like what you're talking to Charlotte about what's most meaningful, about what's most important. And I'd say even more important, Charlotte, for you to get life plan, to look at the 3 questions that I've thrown out there in various books and things, or go to a life planner and just define what's that vision, regardless of how you thought you were going to go, what would be incredible life?
What would be the best life for you?
What would be the best life? And then you let go of the habits that are standing in the way of that life. So that's the second domain of freedom. And the third domain of freedom is civilization. And here we all feel blocked. We all feel like we're second-class citizens compared to the politicians or the oligarchs or the autocrats. And we need to get over that. The truth is that we've claimed democracy. You guys in the UK have done more than any other culture in the world for that. And in my opinion, in the history of humanity. And America's tried to pick up the slack and be a leader in it as well. But we need to stand up and say, no, this world is our world. And we're gonna speak out. We may just be a tiny voice, but the more of us speaking out, the more power we have, as we see in the Ukraine, and as we are inspired by them to say, our vision of democracy and a democratic freedom, of a healthy planet, of a great civilization, is one that we want to call out to and make happen.
Yeah,
so
love that.
And let go of the habits that stand in the way of that.
Love that. Right. So help me. I've got a bit of a paradox going on in my mind there, Jules. Sure. So we're both planners, right? We look at future focus, right? So we are future focused. But you've talked a lot about living in the present. How do you get the balance right? I don't think I am particularly successful at this, to be frank. How do you get the balance right between having that future focus for our own lives and the lives of our clients, but also making sure we live for today?
Yeah, I think that that mindfulness is profoundly important for all of us to take up a practice that is 20 minutes a day and is coming back to the present moment again and again and again in a very narrow field, usually at the nostrils or at the belly. Just really narrow it down so that then you're seeing all the thoughts that get in the way and you can do something about it. So this question of balance is profoundly important. It's not that our world of planning is unimportant, irrelevant. It's profoundly important to our life plans. You and I have a vision. Charlotte has a vision of what our lives are meant to be. That vision is looking into the future. It's drawing on the past, and we're moving toward it. And if our vision is compelling and we're passionate about it, it makes our life so much more meaningful.
We'll take action towards it, won't we? Yeah.
We take action towards it. But if we don't have this balance of living in the present moment, we get a little out of whack, and we don't see things clearly, and we don't see other people clearly, and
we're not. I suppose the idea of life is having an enjoyable one every day, isn't it?
That's it.
That's it. If you're too busy rushing towards this future life that you think is going to be enjoyable, you're not taking enough time to enjoy it today.
And mindfulness develops kindness because it develops selflessness. So it brings more kindness into the fold. So the virtues in the map of mindfulness, virtues begin to permeate civilization the more that we do that kind of work.
So before we finish, George, and I know because I've read 2 or 3 of your books, but share with Charlotte for me, please, if you don't mind, because I think she'll find it really useful. Those 3 questions that you talk about when you help people life plan, just share those with Charlotte for me.
Great. So Charlotte, you always answer them in order. The first one's just imagine you have all the money you could possibly want for the rest of your life, okay? All the money you need for the rest of your life. Maybe you're not as rich as J.K. Rowling or the Queen of England, but you've got all that you need, all right? So if you had that much resources, what would you do with your life? How would you lead your life? So that's question number 1. Okay, so you
know what I love? Just that, I don't know. That's deep. Just that flow of frustration was amazing. Good.
You win the lottery. You got it. You can do what you want. So that's question number 1. Question number 2 is more serious, but play with that. Have fun with that. Imagine all the places you'd travel and who you would be and what you'd study and where you'd go. And would you do work? What kind of work would you do? What would you really enjoy? So that's number 1. Number 2 is this is much more serious, and this is life and death. You go to the doctor, and the doctor says to you, "I'm so sorry. You have a rare ailment, and you'll feel perfectly healthy for the rest of your life, but your life is going to be a short one. You only have 5 to 10 years left to live." So what would you do if you knew that you had this limited time frame, 5 to 10 years? Then what would you pour your life into? What would you do? What would be most important? And I'd spend 5 or 10 minutes on each of these questions, and I'd write them down. And the third question is the most important of all, and it's the most serious one. So if you thought that last one was serious, this one starts the same way.
I was expecting the blows to get bigger. Like the first one you went, and by the end, you're like...
Yeah. So the third one is...
hard. It gave me too many options.
Yeah, exactly.
Too much choice.
The third one, you go to the doctor, and this time the doctor says, "I've totally blown it." She'd been doing some tests and said, "I blew it. You've had a rare ailment, and it's come to term, and you have 24 hours left to live." The question is not, what would you do with your time? The question is thinking about all those things that you'd anticipated doing, all those things you'd anticipated accomplishing, who it was that you'd anticipated becoming. And writing down then, what did you miss? Who did you not get to be? What did you not get to do? And write that down. And that's the most important question of all. And our life plans are hugely around that particular question. They incorporate some of the other things, but they're hugely around that question.
And this is part of the reason we do the Kindness Project, George, because as you said, a lot of this is about legacy, isn't it? You know, what do you want to leave behind in the world? And certainly we're sort of doing our little bit of doing it, and you've done amazing work as well. So thank you so much. I've learned a lot today. Loved it. Oh no, Charlotte's got a question.
You missed the last question.
No, you're going to do the last question. I'll let Charlotte. Should we do some actually with John? Should we have a bit of fun? Should we do some questions of the podcast?
Yes, certainly.
So actually, we've got a couple of. So what we normally do on the Kindness Project, George, is to finish off an interview with our audience, and just as a bit of fun, we normally ask a random question every week. So we've got some amazing questions we'd like to ask. Bit off topic, bit random, but we'll give it a go.
Here we go.
So Charlotte's going to ask the first one. What is your favourite joke?
What is my favorite joke?
Yeah.
Oh gosh. I just shared one the other day. You might not get it because it's language. It's maybe not my favorite one, but it's one that I just recently shared. And you know how in mathematics we learn that two negatives make a positive. Yeah. So there was this professor in New York City of mathematics, and he was asked by one of his graduate students, I understand that two negatives make a positive. Is it ever the case that two positives make a negative? And the professor went, yeah.
Very good. Very.
I do like good language.
Oh, Charlotte really appreciate that one. That's an interesting one. If they made a TV show of your life, George, what would they call it?
Oh my golly. I don't know that about a TV show, but I hope that my legacy is that people think that I've encouraged them to be more of who they are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Charlotte wants to do one?
Yes, I would like to.
Are you picking one?
Yeah.
What's your favourite pizza topping?
What's my favorite what?
Pizza topping.
Oh, pepperoni. I'm a meat lover.
Pepperoni.
Yeah.
So do you have any inanimate objects in your house that you have named?
Oh God!
Is that even on there?
So wonderful.
That's an amazing question.
So wonderful! What a wonderful question. My kids would probably come up with something that I've named. I used to call our refrigerator a video cassette recorder, which my 4, 5, and 6-year-old daughters thought was hilarious.
Brilliant.
I've been trying to push for us to call the car 4 because it's an electric car.
So we've just converted to an electric car living in London. That makes sense, and because of some of the sort of environmental stuff. Charlotte's desperate to name the car, but
I want either Thor or Thunderbird.
That's good. Anyway, on that note, where can people find out more about your work, George, and your books and the work you do?
So there's 2 websites, and one of them would be the kinderinstitute.com, which is all about the financial work that I've done. And the other one would be just simply georgekinder.com. And one of the cool things there, if they go on that right now, is you can get a free subscription in your email of my newest book, which is these beautiful photographs and poems of every week. But you'll also get so you have to sign up for it, but it's free. But you also you'll get a description of all the books, all the different things I've done, photography, whatever. Yeah, georgekinder.com and kinderinstitute.com.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We've loved having you as a guest, and hopefully you've enjoyed it too.
Wonderful. I want to hear about those 3 questions, what you come up with, Charlotte.
Well, that was George. I'm sure you agree there's so much insight in terms of what George can give. I hope you found it really useful. and we are nearly at the end because I'm waiting for one of you to go.
Tis the end of another podcast. But the end is never truly the end because the end is always the beginning of something entirely new.
Okay, this is the point of last week's question of the podcast where Russell sang a song, wasn't it? But he's done it early this time. Last week's podcast was what travel destination is at the very top of your bucket list. Kevin Hull said Tonga and South Pacific. Carol Gattersey said she wants to go there too on the way to Australia. Caroline Thompson said Cape Town or Tanzania. Victor Sack said he wants to go to the Canadian Rockies. Steph Bartley said the New York and Maldives. Louise McNamee said, I'll love Singapore apparently because one of mine is Singapore, and India is the other place that she wants to go. Steve from the gym, legend that is Steve from the gym. Skegness, no, seriously, Bali, Maldives, and then Vegas. Eve Keith said the Inca Trail to Machu Picchu. That sounds amazing, definitely. Alison Hagen said, I'm a bit obsessed with Shetland at the moment, but I really want to go to Japan too. Victoria Ellis said Hawaii and Australia. Justin Gaffney said any of the Nordic countries. Ilyas Ayub said, there's a long list at this stage. My travel bucket list is very long. Joshua Cartwright said Tokyo. Sharon Herb said Cape Town. Sam Chilton said the Lake District. Stacey Keane said Bora Bora. Sandra Collington said the Isle of Skye, Australia, Thailand and Hong Kong. Angela Anthony said Vienna. And Sue Conyu said Japan. So loads of great answers for that. Loads of great answers for that. No, there wasn't. Loads of great answers for that. Thank you for everybody for getting involved. Have a lovely week, and we'll see you next time, my friends, on the Kindness Project.
Bye.
Bye.